Hello there, and be welcome to another video of the Architect of Hades. Today we're going to talk about something that's incredibly important inside of our practice. Today we're talking about shadow work, and something I wish to express, specifically talking about shadow work, as it is a topic that has been highly requested inside of my Instagram, is that shadow work doesn't have as a goal to fix you, or more in the sense of that sometimes we carry inside of ourselves these feelings or perceptions that we are broken inside, that there's something inside of us that we need to fix in order to be more lovable, in order to be more accepted, more loved. Something we need to remember is that shadow work purpose serves us, not other people. We are not doing shadow work because we want other people to love us. We are not doing shadow work because we need to fix something that is broken inside of us so others can see us in better eyes. Why do I say this? Because it's something that Hades has repeated along my journey so much, and it is up until now that I can say that I truly understood. What does that phrase mean? You are not broken. In April, I accepted, because this is something that I explored sometime around last year, but I think I wasn't yet maybe ready to accept that, or accept not in the bad sense, okay? Just to be aware of it. But during April, I was more aware about the possibility that I could be autistic, and I am actively looking for a way to get diagnosed. I see myself inside of the frame of being autistic, and that would explain many things during my life and many situations that I've gone through. So when I discovered that, one of the main things everybody says is that you are not broken and that you are not a project to be worked on, and one of the best things you can do is learn about yourself, accept even your limitations, and be more compassionate towards yourself. And when I discovered that, and when I clicked what Hades told me that time, I was like, yes, all the shadow work I've done has led me here, and I'm incredibly grateful for that, truly, because I feel like that was a landmark in my shadow work journey that truly allowed me to feel so much love and so much compassion and so much patience with myself, and getting to know myself on a deeper level as I've never done before. And I've changed so many of my routines. Now I am much more aware about my burnout, about my tendencies to work so much to exhaustion, even if I love what I do. And now I am more at peace with so many parts of myself, and everything makes sense. Since my relationship with Hades, even my astrology makes more sense. and I have this approach to life that is much more lighter, much more happier, even with its ups and lows. When I'm up, and when I'm down, I am down. But all of this allows me to feel more at peace with myself. That's a brief description of what I have achieved with shadow work. I've done many other things with it, but it really led me through a journey to really know myself, know my capacities, and truly understand my desires, why I want what I want. And I also must say, and I also want to express that when you start working and when you start doing this type of shadow work in specific, there are many types which we will cover in a minute, but In my experience, when I started to perform this type of shadow work with Hades, it's important for you to understand that the mere act of doing the shadow work, it's a big step ahead. It's something that's going to help you so much to realize in things about your life and in general, because you are going to learn so many things.
And your mind is going to be blown away with all the things that happen, because you're going to see something in a vision, you're going to be in the astral, and you're going to be seeing a bunch of things, and then they will tell you that something's going to happen in your life, and that thing happens, and then your mind explodes.
And even your sense of safety inside of the relationship with your deities is going to be stronger than before. And even the relationship with your deities is going to be so much more reassured, because you're going to have so many experiences in which it's impossible that you don't believe that they are real. If you still have any kind of doubts, which is completely normal, you don't need to feel ashamed if you work with a deity and you still doubt if they exist. That's totally fine, it's completely normal, okay? But it's not only about doing the shadow work. It's not only about going to the astral or seeing past lives or doing some kind of ritual or magic inside of the astral. It's much more than that, because there are multiple fractals to this work. So what you do in the astral, what you do with your deities, with your spirit guides regarding shadow work, needs to be translated inside of your reality. Sometimes you're gonna notice that when you have this realization, or when you see something inside of your visions, you would be like, okay, now I understand why this X thing happened in a certain way. And sometimes the realization of that thing going on in your life, it's going to be enough for you to jump to the next topic or jump to the next step. Sometimes you will forget about them, so I do highly recommend to keep a journal, especially with this. And I know that sometimes it can be so hard to keep a journal, even for myself, because we would be like, yeah, I will remember about it tomorrow, and then you won't remember. That's okay. And sometimes that will be enough just to see the scenario, just to see or hear the explanation from them. That would be sometimes all you need. But then, which I would dare to say with bigger topics, for example, like financial burdens or blockages, or things like that, self-confidence, discipline, things like that, you will actively need to put on the work in the physical, in your real life, because it's like spell work. Sometimes spell work just happens when you perform it, and that's great. But sometimes you need to do the spell, and then you need to go and apply to jobs, and then you need to update your portfolio after you've done the spell, and then you need to apply for it to start working. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same with shadow work. You do the shadow work, and then you will have to do steps in your real life to make the change. That's pretty much how this could work in a basic sense. But let's talk about what's shadow work in the sense of psychology. Shadow work is a term that was created or mentioned by Carl Jung, and he had an hypothesis in which there are things that are buried deep inside the mind. And all of these things represent repressed memories, emotions that are not able to come into the surface, things that you have already forgotten in time. Okay? He also started his work by performing deep meditations, by looking for profound relaxation spaces with his patients, so they could access those buried elements inside of the mind, which he called the shadow. The mind has 3 levels. We have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. The conscious mind are all those things that you are doing right now, like watching this video, like maybe drinking some tea, some chamomile to open the roads. Good for that. Then you have the subconscious mind. This subconscious is everything you do automatically, like brush your teeth, like going to bed and falling asleep, things that you don't think about but just do in the moment, okay? And then you have the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is everything that's hiding in those dark places, in all those shadows that lie inside of you. And it's usually what some people call their demons. As if you have heard people talk about how they are taming their demons and things like that, that could be, or that could enter inside of the category of shadow work. Okay, usually things that you don't remember as quickly, or you don't click in the moment. Okay, that's basically what shadow work is in quick words, based on Carl Jung. We also have other things that are related to shadow work, which are like obsession. When you start working on yourself, when we start to advance, when we start to see results, when we start to be like, oh, now, for example, now I can talk to the camera, now I can sit down and record a YouTube video, and I don't feel this horrible anxiety I've been feeling because I feel like other people are gonna judge me, or you still are aware that somewhere inside of you could feel scared of people judging you, but it's like, yeah, I'm aware of that, but I will do this anyway. Those are the advancements you will see with shadow work, and that can become an obsession, because in some cases you would be like, I'm gonna do this for every aspect of my life. And what happens with obsessions? They become toxic, they become not healthy, and you could reach a point in which you say, I want to work on this X thing, this X topic in my life, and you start to see advancements, and then you get stuck or you get stagnant, and then you would work more and be more insistent on it, and then you could get sick. For example, I'm just adding things to the potion, you know, that's not healthy for either for your health, for your mental health. So that's one of the reasons why I believe that shadow work should be approached with the knowledge or the intention to be performed in phases, in periods of time. Okay, during the year, you don't need to do shadow work every week, you don't need to do shadow work every month. You can work on it, for example, for a month or two, and then take a break, 2 months, 3 months, and then you can start again whenever you feel like, whenever you have this desire to explore more about yourself. When you even reach a point of stagnation, then you can start looking at yourself and be like, okay, let's do a checkup, let's see how things are going, how can I maybe change some chairs inside of myself so I can better off the living room, maybe do a renovation inside of my mind, you know. And that would be a good analogy. I like that, to do a renovation of self. I like that. Okay, I've just changed my definition of shadow work. Okay, so that's why I encourage you to do shadow work in periods of time. Okay, there's other things that you need to take into consideration, like quick fix mentality.
I'm sorry for my hair, it's just that I'm waiting for it to grow because I don't like the cut of my bangs, and I'm trying to wait till it grows.
Quick fix mentality. This is not something that you're going to work on like this. You're gonna sit down, you're gonna do a meditation with Hades, and then at the next morning you're gonna be rid of all of your problems. That's not how it works. You will wake up the next morning and you will feel lighter. You will feel like a weight is off your shoulders, but you still need to put in the work. You still need to go down again and check up other things, because with big topics, let's think about a project. See it as a project. And I will say, as an example, a building in architecture, because that's everything I think of. Let's say that your shadow work goal is to build, to construct a building, okay?
And you want to do in a night, you want to create all the foundations, the columns, the pillars, the beams, and then you want to do the interior design. That's not
possible. If you want to achieve a big goal, you need to break it in small portions. That's exactly the same with shadow work. Different would be that you say, I want to do shadow work because I want to change this cup of tea. That's pretty simple. You go to the store, you buy a new cup, and then you have a new cup. See the difference? That's exactly the same. If you want to work on bigger things, you will require more time and more patience to be able to perform them in the best possible way. That's all. Okay, so don't get frustrated if it's getting more time, because then you will work on it for a month or 2 months, then you will take a break, and then you will return to it maybe later in the year, because you have learned other things that will help you support that goal you are pursuing at the beginning of the year. Okay, that's why it's called a journey, and a never-ending journey. It's something that you will experience during your whole life. So take it easy on yourself. Be patient with yourself. Take it easy. Take a break. Take a breath. And enjoy the journey. Okay? Now, understanding versus integration. Versus integration. You need to understand the theory that your guides or your deities are giving to you and how they are showing you this. And then you will integrate what you learn inside of your physical reality. Okay, let's say you are doing maybe shadow work to be more disciplined in your workout routine, because you like discipline. I like discipline to work out. Okay, so you go into the underworld, for example, to do some shadow work with them, and then you discover that through a series of events and past lives and situations and theater representations, you learn that the very issue is that you really do not like do high-performing workout. And then you discover that you actually like, for example, slow motion things, and then you realize that you actually enjoy yoga. So you start doing yoga and you become more disciplined because it's natural to you. See the difference? It's about finding out what works best for you, not forcing yourself to do something you don't want to, just because it's what you're supposed to do. Of course, there are exceptions. Please never take any advice, not even mine, as they apply to everything and everyone. It's just an example. There are many ways in which you can do shadow work. This type, astral traveling, is not the only one. You can start with something simple if it's your first time doing shadow work. You can start with journaling. Oh, Brittany, really? Are you serious? You're gonna tell me to sit down and write down my thoughts? Yes, I will. Maybe not every day. You can do that maybe once a week, twice a week, if you're starting out. You know that I never encouraged you to start something
every day and to be super disciplined about it, because if you want it, you work for it.
No. We don't have any of that in the channel, okay? Do it at your own pace. It's more important for me, and I believe for you, that you become disciplined at your own rhythm. Okay, especially with this, especially with shadow work, especially. Because you're gonna find your own rhythms. If you feel comfortable starting this once a week, do it once a week. And then you're gonna start to feel like, hey, I really like to do this, maybe I can make this a habit. So you start to do it twice a week. And then you start to change progressively your routines to your life. Journaling, what are you gonna do with journaling? You can go to Google and you can write down prompts to start shadow work, okay? And you're gonna find a lot of questions that you're gonna start to ask yourself. Remember that this is about knowing yourself, getting in touch with yourself, sitting down and putting a mirror in front of you and being like, hello, nice to meet you. Who are you? I want to know everything about you. That can be scary sometimes. I know that we joke a lot about shadow work. I know that we sometimes are like, yeah, I will go to the shadow, I will know myself, I will definitely defeat the ego, which is not possible, by the way. But that can be scary from experience, and not too scary, you guys, not at all. I just want to talk to you from my experience, and you know that I always like to show different shades and different faces of the coin, because truth is never created by one statement, okay? But you will definitely find things that are uncomfortable inside of your shadow, things that you are going to be like, what the exactly? And especially when you start to dive into past lives. And right now I'm starting to change the topic again. I'm so sorry. Let's finish the techniques and we will go back to that. You can start journaling, writing down your thoughts, answering questions you find on Google, and that's gonna help you a lot to start your journey to see how you think and how you interpret life in general, okay? You also have dream analysis, or getting in touch with those ethereal spaces in your life, your daydreaming even. And by that I mean that when you start to have those dreams that you feel have some kind of meaning, write them down as well. And try to understand what kind of situations in your life are making you feel in that way. And that's why for me, dream interpretation is something incredibly personal. And I don't think it's something that another individual can do for you. Maybe they can offer options, but ultimately the meaning of the dream, it's going to be defined by you. Because for example, if I dream about a tsunami, that can mean something, and that will mean something for me, and something completely different to another person. For me, that means that I am highly stressed. I'm going over the roof and I need to chill down and come back to earth. But some other people, that could mean a prophetic dream, that something's about to happen. You know what I mean? So dream analysis is based also in knowing yourself, getting aware of your environment. How do you react to your environment? And where do you hold responsibility of what's happening around you, and how others have their own responsibility, and how or what things you can or cannot control. It's a lot of things to work all at the same time, so that's why it's something you need to take slow. Other things, there are other ways that you can try creative expression. You can, if you really like DIYs or crafting or things, you can channel all that emotions, all those emotions out of art, and that could help as a shadow work to help you release everything you're feeling at the moment, maybe the anger, the depression, the feeling, the sadness, to help you then be able to sit down and look at the situation with another mindset, with another perspective, okay? That's more like a tool for you to help. And then there's this type of shadow work in which you will go to a deep state of meditation. I would say, in my personal experience and perspective of things, that this type of shadow work is more directed towards the astral, traveling. And it's especially helpful if you already have spirit guides or deities you already work with, and you have some kind of relationship with them, okay? Why? Because you are going to greatly benefit from them, because you are going to be able to release the control, to release even the fear, because you will be with someone that can support you, that can help you and protect you from anything you face inside of the astral. Having a guide in the underworld, it's going to be highly beneficial for you. That's why I always tell you guys that this is a relationship, in a relationship in the best terms and in the best sense. Because the more you get to know the deity, the more you feel comfortable with them, the more you share about your journey, and they're more part of your life, the easier it will be for you to do this work with them. Okay? Does this mean, Brittany, that if I don't have a deity, I cannot do shadow work in the astral? No, you can. You still can, because you have spirit guides, and you can still go and see things for yourself. You just need to be aware of the processes and the protection and the other thing that we will cover eventually, okay? But what happens after you say, okay, I decided I want to give this a try. I want to see how I feel. I have a deity and I want to try this work with them. What can I expect? What am I going to see when I enter that state? Procedures: grounding, centering, shielding, and protection. Basic. For me, it's basic. Other people don't incorporate that inside of their practice. That's great. For me, it's basic. And I do grounding, cleansing, and protection every time I go to the astral. And even every time I do spell work. Every time I do a reading. Because that's something that's basic in my practice. On different levels and with different procedures, yes, because I cannot sit for 15 minutes before a reading to do a grounding, centering, and protection. I could, but I don't want to, so I have a different procedure for that. So you would do that, then you would call, for example, your deity, your spirit guide, and then you simply ask them to show you something that will benefit you regarding shadow work, or something that you need to see at the moment. Can you do this by yourself? Can you do this alone? Yes, you can. You can even grab a book about shadow work and you can follow the instructions and you can sit down and do it by yourself. Okay? I started with a guide. I started with someone that helped me navigate the initial parts of this work, which I'm entirely grateful for, and it makes a difference. Why? Because you feel more safe, you feel more grounded. Generally, you don't feel like you're going crazy, even sometimes you feel like it. But you basically have a support system, okay? You have a net, a safety net, that will clarify questions, that will help you out. But you can do this alone, guys, okay? Don't feel limited by it. You can pretty much do anything alone, as long as you are being aware, as you do your research, as you go at your own pace, as long as you know yourself or are in the process of being aware that I am knowing, I'm getting to know myself, and as long you understand red flags, how tricksters work, what are your limits, okay? So I must put a disclaimer here. I do not believe that everybody can do everything alone. We can't. We are humans. We are designed to live in community and be helped by the community and other individuals. But I also believe that many things you can do alone. It will take you more time, but you can do it, okay? So just a general disclaimer for you to keep in mind. Do your research, read, practice, and go at your own pace, okay? If you're going to do this alone. But what can you expect on the other side? After you contact your deity, you contact your spirit guide, you can see many things. And mostly, they will guide you through this whole experience, okay? Also, another disclaimer. If you experience doubts during your journey, let's say you work with a Hades, but deep down inside of yourself, you still doubt if he's real or if what you hear is real. If you still have this kind of experiences, completely do shadow work and try and go do it. But don't take literally everything that you hear. Receive the information. Receive anything you're being shown. But always keep it or watch it from a very human perspective. Don't let it go to your head. Don't let it be or make you or fall into that thing about the ego and being like, oh, I was a high priestess in another life, and no, that doesn't count at all. I also was a high priestess in another life, and that doesn't count for anything in this life. Keep your common sense and keep yourself sane. Because it's very easy to start to see amazing things, to start to see past lives. You will see past lives. You will go to the origins of your soul. You will discover about contracts that you made with entities, with spirits. You will learn about the most amazing things you did in another time, in another dimension, in another universe, in another flesh. And you will also learn and see the most horrible things you could have ever done, ever, in a past life or somewhere else, to another people. You will see all faces. You will see all the faces of the crystal. And that's something that will keep you to your feet to the ground. That's something that keeps me to the feet to my ground. And that allows me to always be checking myself. That's why I tell you, shadow work will impact your life in so many levels. Because you will be reminded of all those things that you could have done or you could have not, but we don't know that. We assume that past lives are real. I believe in past lives. And when you are reminded of all those things, you go back to earth. Because you realize that it's very easy to allow your mind, your intentions, and your unseen desires to go wild. And I encourage you to try this too, to see what you found. It's amazing. It's amazing. Guys, I'm not doing this to scare you. This is amazing. I want you to do shadow work. I want you to discover things. And I want you to be able to see so many things and to learn so much. And your life is going to change so much. It won't be easy. It won't be quickly. Maybe sometimes will be easy, will be quickly. Sometimes it depends. It depends on the person. You will see many things. You will learn so much. And your life will be so much better. But it takes time. You will see past lives. You will see metaphorical scenarios. Sometimes what you are seeing, it's not a past life. It's just a representation of what's going on in your life. So you're able to see that from a different perspective, from a different lens. Sometimes you will see something like theater visualizations. This is a bit more difficult to explain, but it's like you will see things from a third point of view. Not much more like the first person, but more like you are floating in the air, and you will see what's going on. That also helps a lot. You could see also another realms. We are talking about the underworld, but if you're working with another deities, for example, Poseidon in my case, you can go to Atlantis, for example, and you can learn a frick ton about that. Or you can work with Zeus or Athena, and you will go to Mount Olympus, for example, and you will learn other things there. Because every deity will have something to provide to you. But if we're starting out, I really like to start with Hades. Why? Because Hades is the king of the underworld. He's the CEO. Okay? He is the ruler of the shadows. All souls goes through Hades. He knows every record. He has every record of every soul. He knows everything we have ever done in this life and in others. So who's the best one to ask him, to ask about shadow work than him, in my opinion? You can do shadow work with other underworld deities, phonic deities, of course you can. But for me, I'm the architect of Hades, after all. For me, Hades will always be the main one. It's also the more loving one, because Hades goes with his shadow work in a very gentle way. All do, but Hades has this much more mentor energy to him. that you feel safe, you feel comfortable, in which you know that if you're seeing something that it's quite nasty and he's with you, you know that it will be okay and he will protect you. He will make sure that you are safe and you are protected. I've had times in which Hades have created barriers around me so I don't get hurt, and then I would go and tell him to put down the barrier because I want to go there. And then I realized why I shouldn't. you know what I mean. I already made the mistakes, so you don't have to make them. I made them for you, okay? So yeah, that's basically what it is. You will learn a frick ton, you will see a lot of scenarios, a lot of things, and then those scenarios and those things you watch and you see will influence your life in many different ways, okay? Because just even the realization of seeing those things and how they impact your life, that's gonna be huge. And then you're gonna start to see how your life changes, and that's painful. I also must say, change is painful. Why? Because we are not normally inclined to change, okay? Especially if you're a fixed sign in some areas of your chart. Astrology also helps a lot. You can also use astrology to see your shadow work. That could be another video. It's painful. It's gonna be painful. It can be painful. Painful in the sense that will depend on the person. From myself, it made me lost jobs that I thought where I was meant to be. I was not meant to be there. I was meant to learn something and then leave. But I lost jobs. I lost loved ones that then I realized were using me. I lost parts of myself that I grieved, and I became someone completely different than who I was a year ago. Okay, I would say that March last year was the worst year of my life so far, because it was the landmark of my shadow work with Hades and the infernals especially. It was very hard. It was incredibly painful. I wouldn't change it at all. Would I do that again? That's why I keep doing shadow work. But you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel so much good. If you feel also inclined to do this work with a therapist, you can definitely do that. But you can try this by yourself, okay? The most important thing is to go at your own pace and to understand the goal, what you want to achieve, what you want to do. And then you allow yourself to go with the flow inside of the astral with Hades and your guides, because they mainly will be the ones that will guide you, okay? But that's basically what I do inside of my shadow work sessions with Hades and the infernals. They are the ones I perform this work mostly with. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. And I will also be releasing a group shadow work session for all of you to experience, since you have expressed that you really want to try this, you really want to give this a try, and I encourage you to, okay? And if you want to try this with someone to see how things go, to tiptoe your feet, I will be working on offering all of you a group shadow work session. But yeah, you can check all the details in my Instagram. And if you're watching this in the future, I will surely be doing other things relating shadow work, because it's a main topic I want to incorporate more inside of my account. So you can check all the details down below in the description if you really like this, okay? So if you have any questions, just let me know, and in the meantime, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.